What we're going to do is review what it might look like when you present this pay program to a potential inspector. Typically, what I will do is put this up on the big screen right in the conference room, and the goal of that is to be transparent. We want the inspector to understand that we are interviewing them, we're working with them, we're working toward a career. So they're seeing, wow, this is a projection over the next 6 years. We're also conveying the idea of being completely transparent. We want them to understand, if we've invited their spouse in, the spouse to understand exactly what to expect in a compensation sense from the company. Who has what responsibility to whom? What will the company be doing and assuring gets done? And what will the expectation of the inspector be? And how can the inspector's performance and activities impact their earnings, both in a positive way and a negative way? So it begins with the base salary. You have the base salary of $28,800. That was chosen for two reasons. One, no one likes to be 100% compensation. Yes, we as the company might like that, but individuals like to have a floor. They want a floor not to go below, but they don't like a ceiling. So we give them a floor and then show them how that ceiling can truly be quite high. The other reason for that 28.8, it assured that we were above the federal guidelines to assure that we didn't trip any triggers relating to minimum salaries and overtime law. That's where the 28.8 comes from. It's about $600 per week based on 50 weeks. Minimum number of events available. Now, each individual inspector would love to have control of their schedule 100%. Each home inspection company would like to have control of the inspector 100%. How do we work those two things out? What we do is sit and say, here's the expectation. If you put a minimum number of events available every week, basically 2 a day, 480 events over the course of the year. That 480 allows them to have a couple of weeks off. It allows for holidays, Monday holidays, all those other things. We say it would be reasonable that you give us any 480 events per year. If you like to work weekends, do that. If you like to take off during the week, do that. The expectation is 480 events per year. Line 4, number of events worked. We're making the assumption that we'll fill 400 out of those 480. We'd love to say we could fill all 480, but we're just going with 400. There's a seasonal adjustment. There's things that cancel. They're beyond everyone's control. Sometimes the guy gets sick and we just lose a slot. 400 events. That's the expectation. Now that person's feeling pretty good. They know they've got 28.8 as a minimum. They know the expectation is 480 slots that they've given you a year. And they also know that all of the math is based on only doing 400. So they can see that there's a 20% movement. They can increase their income by 20% just by being available every one of those 480 slots. Number 5, average fee per event. Now, an event means someone was scheduled to go somewhere and get out of their vehicle. Sometimes that's a home inspection. Sometimes that's a home inspection and termite. Sometimes that's a re-inspection. Sometimes it's a complaint follow-up. It's whatever it is that meant there's an event on the schedule, one of the 480, and they had to go somewhere and get out of their car. Our average for the previous year was $536. If we had a person scheduled on the calendar to go somewhere, they went somewhere, got out of their car, on average, they received a check written to the company for $536. Line 6, we do not really even discuss that. We just go right over that. That's actually the split. Now, the split causes more aggravation than any other thing imaginable in the home inspection compensation universe. The first question, usually out of an inspector's mind, is, I'm interested in work. What's the split? Well, you don't feed your family on split. You feed your family on the gross compensation that's paid to you, net compensation that's paid to you. So we don't even talk about that line. It's there. We don't even talk about it. Then we go right to line 7 and say, based on the average fees received, over the previous year, if you were to complete 400 events out of the 480 time slots, your first year compensation would be $42,880. Is that reasonable? For many people, they would say that is. Then we sit and say, but wait, there's more. There's a performance bonus. What is the performance bonus? That's line 8. The performance bonus says if you're doing so well out in the field that when people call and request a home inspection, and we ask, do you have a preferred inspector? And they say yes, and that is you, that individual inspector, there's a 5% premium paid to you for doing such a fine job and being requested. On to line 9. We'll make the assumption that a new person is not going to have very many requests for a month. That's only one a week. And as you look across the 6-year plan there in line 9, 4, 8, 12, 16, 16, 16, we're assuming people will, over time, earn more and more requests. The faster they earn requests, the more money they earn sooner, quicker, and faster. That, based on that request of 4, right, line 10, that performance bonus would be an additional $1,286.40 per year based on the numbers, how they are above. That's paid right to them. Annual bonus. What is annual bonus? There is an assumption that people will make mistakes from time to time. So the company budgets money to pay for those mistakes so they don't need to come out of the individual inspector's pocket. And how that's done, if you look at the math, is essentially 5% of what the of earnings, of inspector earnings, we budget 5% of earnings to pay out in complaints. The complaint payouts, it kind of varies, you know, and we guess at some point when the guy's really good, there may be none. And we think early on there'll be some. So we've just said, let's imagine we paid out $1,500 in nuisance complaints. So what we do with that is we pay the difference to the inspector. So if we budgeted money for complaints and the individual hasn't used that money, we pay it out to the individual as a bonus at the end of the year. What does that put them? It puts them at $44,874.72 for the year. But as they say, wait, there's more. What about mileage, which is really let's assume that an inspector is going to drive 1,000 miles per month. It could be more, could be less. Good scheduling and good opportunity will be less. Sometimes some areas it will be more, but we used 1,000. It made it easy to work from. We know it's going to be more than 1,000. That next line down, fuel reimbursement, we're saying based on the mileage that you drive, which you can pull right from ISN or Next, we do that for simplicity and consistency. We will pay a fuel reimbursement. If you drove 1,000 miles, that would be $1,800. Okay, that's fuel. What's interesting about these allowances, these are non-taxable. They're not taxable to the employer. They're not taxable to the employee. It's a pass-through, so they're actually about 1/3 more valuable than written. The next line down, tool allowance, we make the assumption that small tools, they're taking care of that on their own, things break, and we're budgeting $50 a month paid to the inspector as an allowance, again, not taxable, which is another $600 a year. We put all that together and it comes out $47,274.72 first year. Could that be higher? Yes. It would be higher if they get more requests. It'll be higher if they get fewer complaints. It'll be higher if the fee moves up. It'll be higher if they work more than the 400 a year. So very easily that first year guy, if they maximized everything, could get close to 60 grand using our system. Typically, though, it's unlikely they work that hard and do that well. It could also be a bit less, but in no case will it be below 28.8. And by the time you factor in the allowances, in no case will it be below 32,000. So we've got a ceiling, a floor, a very high floor, and a reasonable ceiling. And then as you're looking across over the years, because we're building careers, they can easily see where they can get to well above 80,000. Frankly, we have people who have used this program and got up and kissed $100,000 a year through extraordinary performance, attracting high fees, high referral rate, and very low complaint. So in the nutshell, that's how we use this particular matrix to advance the cause. And if you have any questions, think about it, chat amongst yourselves, and if need be, reach out to me and we can help you.